All right, Chris, it's going to be triple digits for the next 10 to 12 days.
Yes.
I suppose you got some crazy people working for you to be more than happy to go check out stuff on our. I can't even imagine what it's like up 2 feet, 4 feet rooftop there. The heat from the
Well,
tiles.
and you add the fact that you're walking on something that's black,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
attracting the heat. So, yes, it's a pretty intense job. I obviously grew up that way. I started as a roofer. I mean, you do get used to it. I mean, there is a level of the first few weeks of the season usually kind of kick your butt, but then after a while you get into a rhythm, and you got to take lots of water. Just keep the water flowing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get in the summer, I wouldn't even eat, because you do not feel like eating when it's 110 degrees out and you're working your body.
Yeah.
But you're drinking water, take breaks in the shade, cool your body down.
Do you
Sometimes
do ice cold water or do you do
no,
chilled water? 'Cause I've heard
during the hot days, I didn't really like the ice cold water. I much more preferred the kind of tepid water. And the reality is when you have a water jug up on the roof and it's 110 degrees and you filled it up at the beginning of the day with ice, guess what? At noon, it's warm. It's not ice water anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that though. Just working in radio, like I would do ice water, and all of a sudden my throat was all kind of like raspy and like already like I used it up, and it was weird. So I don't recommend ice water unless you're not if you're going to be speaking or doing any of that.
So we were talking about a bunch of things when it comes to heat like this. First of all, I've been reading up a lot about signs that a roof is going bad, signs that you've got some things going on under the shingles that you should be having checked. Like if you've had a leaky roof, if you've had situations like that, moss and algae growth. I mean, do we see much of that out here because it's so hot, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, most of the moss and algae growth that you see out here is not because it is a drier climate, is not because of moisture trapped in your attic. It's usually like some areas you'll find it on tiles, but those will be the areas where it's like north facing and it's got a lot of coastal influence, like in Camarillo, out where I am, Moore Park. There's a lot of areas where it just stays damp all day long and it promotes that growth. So that's actually a growth on the tile. But one of the big things, that we can talk about when it's so hot is properly ventilating your attic, because one of the biggest killers of your underlayment, which really, services your roof, right, is when that attic gets too hot and then it starts cooking the underlayment. And ventilation, especially in the older homes, has not been a thing. It was like very kind of, wasn't really on the radar, but in the last number of years, it has just become a really big thing. Lots of ventilation.
Yeah, very similar to like cracking the window open on your car on a hot day, just to let the air kind of flow out
Yep.
instead of trapping it inside.
And those vents at the both ends of the house usually aren't enough.
Yeah, no, no, and the systems we like. Some people go, okay, well, I'll put a power fan up there, which are great, but what happens with that power fan? They always break, right? And where's the last thing you're really looking is up in your attic. So you'd have, I've been on way too many roofs where those are totally inoperable, and the guys, oh, yeah, that's right, I forgot to look up there, which is totally natural. So we believe a passive air system. So we create vents at the low and then vents at the high. So what hot air rises, it goes out that vent, which creates a negative pressure at the bottom, which pulls in the cool outside air, and it creates this passive system.
Oh wow, I like that.
So,
So
I've tried to explain it to people. Simplicity. Heat rises.
yeah.
If you got 2 stories to your home, crack some of those windows at night. Let the hot air out.
Yeah.
And open to your point. Open the bottom windows and let some cool air in.
Yeah, same process.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be super hot these next few days, unfortunately. But I'm wondering about these solar panels, because with the heat also comes the rolling blackouts.
Yeah.
If you have solar panels,
Oh, yeah,
though,
go
are you
ahead, yeah.
safe from those blackouts?
Not unless you have a battery. I mean,
Okay, so what?
You owe me one.
There it is.
I teed it up for you. So
So tell us a little bit about needing that battery instead of, because I thought I had solar panels. I thought it was good.
yeah, I know. That's what a
And
lot of
most
people.
people believe. Yeah,
Yeah,
most people believe that.
most people believe that. No, because your solar power that you're creating without a battery goes onto the grid, and if the grid's shut down, it doesn't matter. You can have as much solar power as you want. So you gotta have a battery if you want to, beat the rolling blackouts, right? Because then your solar panels are charging your battery first. Then when it gets to excess, if your battery's full, then it goes back on the grid.
Okay.
Plus, we've discussed it a couple times ever since a year ago when the CPUC changed the credits that you get. You need to have a battery if you want to, increase your ROI or your return on investment of a new solar system.
So I'm getting more and more calls at the house, not just for solar panels, but for the quote unquote solar backup, solar generators. Which I just find that an interesting term. But there's now all kinds of companies jumping on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
I know you probably rep for one or two particular companies. I don't know, but what is somebody looking for when they want to go down that road?
As far as getting a contractor or a battery system?
Not just the contractor, but the battery system. I mean, like I said, there's 20 of them out there.
Right.
Right? And so what are you looking for? Which ones would last the longest? Which ones, how do you figure out what power you need? Because I know the contractor's going to come and tell you, I need this.
Right.
Now, I've said this before and I meant it. You're an honest guy, so I'm sure you're not going to oversell. But how do I get put at ease of knowing, okay, I'm not being oversold, and what am I looking for?
Yeah, it really comes back to contractor, because normally, like, we've aligned ourselves with SunPower, which is one of the best panels out there on the market. And then recently, Tesla batteries are really the game. They've got a lot of technology that's coming out that's going to be really good. We just became Tesla certified because of their technology and reliability. So you have to trust your contractor to do some research, because you don't know anything. I deal with not anything, but people can do research. But I buy things. I don't have that much time to do research on products, so I have to trust my vendor to guide me the right way.
Yep.
Right. And so the same thing with contractors. All kinds of contractors.
And we're talking about some of the things you can do. Not only we're going to be talking about maintenance over the next few visits, and because I'm seeing more and more, and I'm actually seeing more articles about roof maintenance, and because you don't think about it till what? Till you see the brown stain in the roof, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you were just talking about something I never thought about, which was keeping the roof cool. When we think about keeping attic space cool, is to keep the house cooler.
Right.
But you're saying it has a big effect on the actual roof and what goes on, with the roof paper, right?
The underlayment, it gets cooked. And then think about this, right? So if the attic, if you're hot, it's really hot air in the attic, it gets pushed down if it keeps getting hotter and hotter.
Mm-hmm.
So then it gets into your second story, right? So that hot air, you've got insulation and everything, but that insulation, only works to a certain point, and then your ceiling gets hot and your AC goes up. So, it's a great time for ventilation and solar, right? To keep your, so you can run your AC, keep your bills down.
So we run some things down, is that the venting at each end of the house, you're not so much into actually having a power fan, but actually having some kind of ventilation system to allow those to work properly.
They
right?
call them a passive system. That way you don't have to ever worry about them breaking, right? It just works by the laws of nature, right? Hot air rises, goes out the vent, creates a negative draw on the low ones, pulls in nice, cool, fresh air, and you're just happy.
And that would sound so simple. I mean, like a lot of the two-story houses here in town have the big vaulted ceiling, and what have you, and an attic. When you in that hallway upstairs, there's always an attic way. I'm not a contractor, so call Chris. He'll tell you what to do. But you probably could put some kind of grate there, or some kind of vent there to allow the air to escape up in the attic and then out those vents. And when it comes to the solar, let's get to, again, a good point you made was just because you have solar doesn't mean you get power when the power goes out.
Right.
Because that solar is actually programmed or set up to go back into the grid. If the grid dies, you ain't got nothing, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And the batteries, should you make the choice to go battery, you're looking at the batteries are charged by the solar panels.
Correct.
Now, once the batteries are full,
Yes.
are you now selling that power back to the electric company
Yeah,
at that point?
then it goes back on the grid.
Okay.
It's kind of like water, right? So you got a garden hose, you're filling up your bucket. Once it gets full, you got to take that water hose somewhere else.
Yep.
And you put it in your planter, right? So
Yeah. Now I'm assuming there are various and different types of batteries, but for the average person, what would you say that battery can kind of sustain the house for?
there's all kinds of sizes. You can, like the way Tesla does is you can stack batteries.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it also depends on what you want to back up, right?
Yeah.
Because batteries up until like a year ago, they were a luxury. They were for people. They were very expensive, and they didn't really help your return on investment for your solar system. But they're for people that wanted the convenience of the blackout. They did not want to be inconvenienced. So I've had people that'll literally back up everything in their house. Super expensive.
Right.
And you can run your battery down pretty darn quick.
Right.
Like you won't have much.
Well, a quick question here with the battery. So if we have the solar panels and we have the battery, when the blackout happens, wouldn't the battery just continue to charge after that? Or is it that the electricity goes to the grid and the grid comes back and it charges the battery?
No. The solar panels will charge your battery first.
Okay.
And then, like was the bucket analogy. So it will fill up your bucket first, and then it's got to go onto the grid.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
So yes, if you have a multi-day blackout, your solar panels can recharge your battery.
Yeah, but they have to be recharging at a rate equal to or greater than what you're using.
Correct.
There you go.
That's right.
Science.
Yeah.
That's what we call
So-
it. Science.
Well, I found that out the hard way. All right,
Yeah.
if you really want to know the truth.
So the question, how much do I need? What I need is a super multifaceted question.
Right, yeah.
How much are you willing to do? Like some people are like, hey, keep my fridge on, keep one TV on in the family room, and keep a set of plugs on so I can keep the kids' iPhones plugged in and they keep them off out of my hair, and I'm good.
Yeah.
And so then that's real, low. And then, other people, and it depends on what size solar system, how fast you can recharge your battery.
Yeah.
So other people, like I said, if a customer, like I want my AC. Like AC takes a lot of power.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you want to drain your battery quick?
That's the way to do it.
Hook your AC up to it.
Well, I got to, like in my studio, I have the split, split unit,
mini split,
right?
yeah.
But the mini split that I bought had the 12 volts, like that part is 12 volts, and so it's 110 out at the condenser.
Right.
And I run that off of a 3,000 watt quote unquote solar generator.
Right.
And that'll run for quite some time because it's a low draw. It's a very low draw.
Right. And you're gonna not you're not gonna cool your whole house.
No,
Right.
thank God.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chris, Dyck, always a pleasure to have you with us. And how do people find you, get a hold of you?
AugustRoofing.com.
Can't make it any easier than that.
No.
If you don't know how to spell August, go to the calendar.
Yeah.
Figure it out there. So anyway, AugustRoofing.com, Chris, thank you.
All
Again,
right.
and try to stay cool.
Yeah.
Don't you have any kind of gimmick hats that you have on? Keep you cool, a little water? No? Okay, never mind.
No.